A reporter for Rebel News was battered and arrested while trying to ask questions of the Deputy Prime Minister of Canada. This is how far we've come in Canada. Pierre Poilievre taking to Twitter to comment on this. A journalist was arrested for questioning a Liberal minister, and the Parliamentary Press Gallery doesn't say a word. Trudeau has divided media into two groups: those who he's bought off with bailouts and those he's censored and has arrested. He's asking for you to sign here to support free press. Of course, we support free press. It should be just, implicit in this. Now, the scene here was Rebel News reporter, and I'm going to get into this bit here. He started off by wanting to ask, and this is, some people have said that Dave Menzies here is a sensationalist type of reporter, that he's an activist reporter. Well, not all of those things aside, he's still a reporter. It's still part of his job to do what he does, and it's well within his rights as a citizen of Canada. Anyone with a camera and a microphone can be a journalist. This is the way it is. Some people even going as far as saying, well, he's a columnist, so therefore it's fine. Is this where we're at now, where if you're listed as a columnist on a website, you can be beaten up by a cop? I mean, this is where we're at in the rhetoric. Liz Churchill posting this on Twitter. Only in Canada will you see our Deputy Prime Minister, Chrystia Freeland, arrest a journalist today to avoid answering questions. So this is the scene as of today, and I'll put a little bit of volume to it.
Freeland, how come the IRGC is not a terrorist group? Why is your government supporting Islamo-Nazis? What? What are you doing?
You're under arrest for assault.
What, sir?
Why are you pushing me? You're under arrest for assault.
Who are you?
You're under arrest for assault. Police, you're under arrest for assault.
How am I under arrest? You bumped into me.
You pushed into me.
You bumped. I was just scrubbing. I got my credentials here, and you just bumped into me. So excuse
Police, you're under arrest.
What is your name and your badge? What is your name and your badge?
So it went on further with them grabbing at him more and putting him into an area, and then telling him, yeah, he's under arrest, but then not actually arresting him for a while, just holding him back, and then saying that he's under arrest again.
You were almost pushing everybody over. That's how it appears. Lincoln, you got this on video, right? He's saying I'm pushing people over. Yeah, that's an absolute falsehood.
There were feet were shuffling.
So now it appeared that way. That's what you're saying, officer. It appeared I was pushing people. I didn't touch a single person.
That was a little bit aggressive for what was happening. Get that. You're under arrest. Please take the microphone out of my face.
Well, I'd like an ongoing record of this.
Can I have the microphone?
So then they arrested him, and this was the scene today. Now, this is the face of freedom of speech, apparently, in Toronto, Ontario. Here's another picture of that police officer here. Now, a lot of people are pointing out that this was this didn't seem fair. Of course, obviously, Marty up north, Chrystia Freeland, Canada's Deputy Prime Minister, has a journalist arrested today to avoid answering questions and being held accountable. Canada is broken. Of course, Pierre Poilievre again pointing this one out, with sharing the video. This is the state of freedom of press in Canada 2024 after 8 years of Trudeau. But many people pointing out that, when it comes to sports, the way this guy blocked the guy, it doesn't count. That would not obviously count as being the aggressed upon. Of course, this is the joke on Twitter. Breaking new footage of Menzies' assault on Freeland's security officer. Of course, Vesper on Twitter broke this down in a way that makes it, for anyone who's a sporting fan, understand this whole scenario. Here's a play-by-play cut. I played football in high school, he says. This is called an interference block, and in basketball, a pick and roll. See the girl next to Freeland. She gets out of the way, knowing what's coming for David. This is thug tactics at this point. So she sees it coming. She moves out of the way, and the guy pushes into the reporter here, and it's very obvious. Now, this isn't a case of assault. This is definitely a case where Menzies was trying to avoid the guy. You can see it clearly here.
for sir.
And where's the real assault? Well, it comes next. It comes in next in the form of the guy grabbing David Menzies as he tries to avoid any contact with any individuals. And it's pretty clear at that point. But of course, here's again the play-by-play of this. He's trying to avoid, the cop pushes into him. Now, I don't know the particulars about the legalities of this, but to me, this seems like a type of entrapment sort of thing. This is the police officer trying to create a scene and then obviously, being bumped into, then, exacerbates the situation and accelerates it into now a full-blown physical conflict. And this is something that was initiated, in my opinion, by the police officer. But of course, leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think about this. Now, many people are pointing out that this is absolutely the freedom of the press in a case of this. Of course, Ann Roll pointing out in the Constitution Act of 1982, under Section 2, fundamental freedoms, everyone has the following fundamental freedoms: A, freedom of conscience and religion, freedom of thought, belief, opinion, and expression, including the freedom of the press and other media communication. It's a fundamental right in this country, along with freedom of peaceful assembly, which has been infringed upon by this administration, and freedom of association. Of course, this is another one that's obviously been infringed upon again by the cabinet in our government today. Now, what does Trudeau have to say about stuff like this? Well, he says it's never acceptable for a journalist to be attacked for doing their job, and it's never acceptable for anyone anywhere to have their freedom of expression denied, which watch live as I speak at a global conference for media freedom. Of course, this is back in 2020. This isn't today. No. He's awfully silent about this whole thing, of course. Now, many people on Twitter are taking to X to say their point of view on this whole thing. There's no journalist license in Canada. Anyone with a camera and a platform can practice journalism. Calling Rebel News fake journalists is just showcasing their disdain for their message. You don't have to like Rebel News, but they're just as qualified to practice as CBC is. Absolutely right, Russell. That is correct. Now, other people, who don't see so well of Rebel News, Dwayne here saying Menzies conducts ambush interviews. Rebel News Online activists are not journalists, and no surprise that they're fundraising off of it. But this is really important. Dave Menzies, should never have been arrested and roughed up by the police. So even people who disagree with Rebel News, don't like their tactics, don't like what they're doing, still see this as a blatant infringement of his rights as a person to practice journalism in this country. Absolutely, I believe that to be the case as well. Mr. Nobody saying you may like or dislike David Menzies or Rebel News. That's not the point. This is a deflection. A free society needs a free press to properly function. When people use logical fallacies and whataboutisms for their lame rebuttals, it only proves they don't have any legitimate arguments. Absolutely correct on that one. Ben Bankus, comedian, very famous comedian here in Canada, pointing out that Chrystia Freeland is Lord Farquaad, and I just couldn't help but think of this scene when the whole thing happened.
Some of you may die, but it's a sacrifice I am willing to make.
Of course. That's a sacrifice that she's absolutely willing to make. And other people pointing out just the attire, the way that she looks as a leader of our country, especially in a moment that's going to go viral across the world, a situation like this. I have another tiny observation, says Laura. Now, before you think I'm being shallow and dismiss it, please consider that if you are a leader of the free world, you have to maintain higher standards for your appearance. It's expected. I expect that you should too. It's the professionalism required that I don't see here. Not just a choice of dress. Get a better stylist that won't lie to you, or get one, period. Of course, commenting on her attire here. Notes for the 1000th time. Chrystia Freeland. It is winter in Canada. Put some hosiery on your bare legs. Did no one ever teach you how to dress properly for business? Well, she's been getting some advice from her predecessors. I'm pretty sure I replied to this. Her ilk are well known for their winter ill preparedness. I mean, you might have to do a World War II history lesson to get that reference. Many in Parliament don't know much about World War II history, except maybe the Speaker of the House. But I will leave that one alone. Anyway, leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think. This is obviously, I know I joke about this stuff, but this is a serious issue. This is freedom of speech. This is freedom of the press in Canada. And this is where we're going. We have an officer bumping into, and it's obvious in the thing there that the officer was the aggressor in this situation. And yet he's making an arrest on somebody. What will happen with this? Will Chrystia Freeland denounce the officer and his actions? Will the officer be disciplined for his actions? Only time will tell, but let's see what happens because there are some big voices speaking out about this. Anyway, leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think, and we'll see you in the next one. Keep on trekking.